Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the geography first chapter, resources and development. Before starting this chapter, I would like to ask you that what makes your life comfortable? Obviously, the things which we are using it, the things which satisfies our needs. So what these things are? These things are the resources which satisfies our needs. Now these things which we are using on the basis of the technological accessible, economical feasible and culturally acceptable. These terms, when I am using it, these things declares that the things which I am using, this is resources. Now what it means by this? Take example that if we wanted to extract any resources from the environment, so what it requires? Requires technology to extract it. So are we at that stage? We have proper technology to assess, to extract the resources. Second thing, if we are technological accessible, but the second term comes that whether we are economically strong to purchase that mechanical workout, technical workout to assess it. And third thing, talking about culturally acceptable. Some of the things which we are using should have to accept by the society too. So when we are using any resources which is present in the environment which satisfies our needs, provided it should be technological accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable. So this is called as resource. One mark question answers, maybe will ask you what is resource. Now when we talk about that, the resources which are present in the environment, are they ready-made? No. Some of the resources are there which should have to be transformed. Who do this? Human beings. With the help of human beings, what we do? The process of transformation of things available in our environment involves the interactive relationship of nature, technology and institutions. How? Like human beings is the one who interacts with these three. You can see the figure 1.1 where we are able to see that the nature, technology, institution. These three are interrelated, with whom we are able to see in center who are there? Who is there? Human beings. Human being is the one who extracts the material from the nature with the help of technology, and they accelerate into the proper resources. For that they set up the institution. For what purpose they do this all? For economic development of the country. So it's very important to see that the process of transformation of thing should go with this proper workout of nature, technology and institutions. Now when we look after this, people are using the resources. They are not caring about it. What do you think, that the resources are the free gift which we can use it as much as according to our greed? No, it's not a free gift. Before talking about these resources, let's look after some of the very important points. That the resources can be classified on the basis of their origin, exhaustibility, their ownership and the status of development. We'll look after these points in detail. But before that, you just go with the figure 1.2 which gives you the classification of resources, which lets you the resources are of two types, natural and human. What it means by this? Natural, it means which is naturally present in the environment which we are using directly, and some of the resources are there with the human beings. The material is transformed into human resources that we are using it. We'll look after the further point of this. Let's start the next, how this classification works. Now, classification of resources, the first point is the on the basis of origin. If I look after the on the basis of origin, it's in two types, biotic and abiotic. What is meant by biotic resources? Resources which we obtain from the biosphere and have life, like human beings, flora, fauna, etc. And abiotic is what? Non-living things. Take example of rock and metals. Where second point is on the basis of exhaustibility. That is of two types, renewable and non-renewable resources. It's very easy. The word itself clarifies you what it means. Renewable resources, it means that the resources which are able to renewed and we are able to use in a proper continuous or in a flow. So resources which are able to renew, or we are able to recycle, or we are able to replenish. So these type of resources are called as what? Renewable resources, like solar energy, wind energy. Whereas some of the resources are there, those called as non-renewable resources. What it mean by non-renewable resources? Non-renewable resources, it means that the resource which won't be able to renewed. But children, make it one thing clear that the resource which is present in the environment, all resources are renewable. But some resources like minerals and fossil fuels, which took millions of years to renew, because of that these resources are kept in the category of non-renewable resources. I hope it is clear to you. Exhaustibility, it comes in renewable and non-renewable. Renewable, which means we are able to recycle, which are able to replenish. And non-renewable resources, it means which takes long period of time to renew. Next, we are able to see that the resources on the basis of ownership. Very easy to understand. On the basis of ownership, the first it talks about on the individual resources. It means that talk about private properties. Private properties, like I have a car and it's owned by individual. So here individual owned private property. Many people take here example is given about the farmers have their land. So hope you have understood what it means. Individual means personal or private property. Where we are able to see the next is community owned resources. It means that these are the resources which resources are publicly used by everyone. Take example of park, picnic spot, some of the places which people publicly able to use it. Means that no single individual owner is there. It's publicly, or it's a property of government. Where we are able to see the next is national resources. Children, very important, 3 mark questions they will ask you for this. National resources, it means that technically all the resources belonging to the nation only. The country has legal power to acquire even private property for the public good. What it means that, think about it, that some of the places are there which are owned by individuals, but for public good, means government wants to make their canal, want to make their highways, and that plan shows that the land which they wanted to use it, that land is owned by some of the individuals. So government has right to take their properties and replace their property at different places. In this regard, what they want to say that nation has a right to utilize any property if it is useful for the welfare of beings. One more thing wanted to let you about that coastal region. Coastal region 12 nautical, it means 2.2 kilometer. That area, the coastal termed as territorial water, the country belongs near to that, means the boundary from there to 22.2 kilometer, that area's water, territorial water, would be utilized by the country. Means the resources which are present in that water will be utilized for the country's development. So this is what bounded to all the governments, all the countries, that they are able to use the coastal lines and the water bodies, that is 12 nautical or 22.2 kilometer. Hope it is clear. Next, what about international resources? International resources are, that is international institutions which regulate some of the resources. Like international, talk about, again we'll take example of water, territorial water bodies only, where I told you that 12 nautical miles will be used by that particular country. But what about the area after 12 nautical till 200? If any country wants to use, if it can be utilized, that resources which is present after 12 nautical, marine resources after 12 nautical, if it is present and if it is helpful for that particular near country for their economic development, so that country can use it. But for that they should have to go with exclusive economic zone. It's called as exclusive economic zone, and to use that zone it is must to concurrence with the international institutions. It means there is some of the foundation which property we are able to use it. So here they want to explain about the individuals. Hope you have understood. Individual owner. Community means every being can be used, which is the property of government. National, the property which comes within the nation, that is obviously of government. Whatever or which area they wants to use it, they can use it, whether it comes in the regard of individuals. Even the water, territorial water, I told you. Next is international, so we are able to, some of the area able to use it, but we have to concern with the international institutions. So this is very important to understand. Next thing, resources on the basis of status of development. Resources, if I look after the status of development, resources are in the form of potential resources. What it mean by potential? Potential means capacity is there. Like resources which are found in the region of Rajasthan and Gujarat, where we are able to see the solar and wind energy is in abundance, but somewhere we are failed technologically to extract it. So these type of resources are what? Potential. It means that in future we'll do some of the technological accessible workout, through that we will extract. So these type of resources we are calling it potential resources. Next is developed resources. Now, as according to survey, as according to quantity, quality, utilization, the people did a survey, the particular resources are different places. That resources which are under the survey, we calculated their quantity, quality and utilization, and these are in use. It means these type of resources are developed resources. Next is stock. Stock, it means that material in the environment which has potential to satisfy the human needs. Human needs means the stock is able to satisfy the need of human, but somewhere we don't have proper appropriate technology to extract. So these type of resources called as stock. Like example is given of water is a compound of two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen can be used as rich resource of energy, but we do not have advanced technology, know or how to use it. So for purpose, so it's considered as a stock. Again we'll talk about that. The stock is for the future. We are working on it. Next, reserve. Resources are not only for present. Resources should be reserved for the future. We are always talking about this, that the resources are, we should have to utilize it by understanding it that today also it is important, and we should have to reserve it for future too. So resources which are there, we should have to reserve. So reserve the resources, as we know that these resources are of two types, renewable and non-renewable. So here we should have to look after the reserve factor for which type of resources. Non-renewable resources like minerals and fossil fuels should have to reserve for our future generation. But children, we are able to see that development of resources. Resources, it's very important for the human being survival. We need it. Need it means which satisfies our needs. It means the resources. But if resources will not be used with the proper plan, so it will create a lot of problem. What will be that? We are able to see that the problem which led, like depletion of resources. If the people will use it, will use according to their greed, so we will face the problem of depletion, means the percentage of resources will decrease. Whether it is renewable, when you will not give a proper time to renewed, we are able to use renewable resources? No, we won't. So resources also should have to use in a very sustainable way. Second thing, some of the resources are accumulated in the hand of few peoples. Because of that, we are able to see in the society, some people are rich, some people are poor, some have, some don't have. So what should have to be do? That accumulation should be in a proper or balanced way. Next, we are able to see that indiscriminate exploitation of resources has led it. What that indiscriminate means? There is not a proper use or proper extraction, just exploiting it. So because of that, what we people are facing? We are facing the problem of crisis such as global warming. See the problem of ozone layer which is depletion. Like in second thing, we are able to see the lot of problem is there of pollution, then the land degradation. This is all problem because of what? That indiscriminate exploitation of resources. So children, don't you think that when we are facing this problem of depletion, accumulation, indiscriminate use of resources, what should we do? We should have to work for what? The proper and balanced use should be there of resources. So we should have to go with equitable distribution of resources, which is very important and which will be sustained quality and a global peace too, if we will use in a proper and balanced way. So the nature will also get time to flourish, replenish, will give a good qualitative resources to us. So we should have to give time to the environment to renew or to replenish. For that, we should have to think about this, that we should not satisfy our greed, we should have to satisfy our need. We should have to think about our future. So our future is in danger. Future of our planet is in danger. So what should have to do? We should have to do a proper resource planning, which is essential for our sustainable existence of all form of life. And this sustainable existence is a component of sustainable development. Children, may they will ask you the question for like this, that what is sustainable development? Sustainable development, it means that development should take place without damaging the environment, and the resources which we are using, we should have to think that our future should not compromise, our future generation should not compromise. It means we should have to use it in a very sustainable manner or a balanced way. For that, by understanding that, this is very important to aware about this environmental problem. So in 1992, the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit was there, which was held in Brazil at this place of Rio de Janeiro. This was the first international Earth Summit. The summit was convened addressing the very urgent problem of our environmental protection, social economic development. where they declare that we should have to work to save our environment. They have decided that why we are not planning for this, why we are not working for our resource planning. So there they framed that is the agenda of 21. This name is given because of achieving the sustainable development in the year of 21st century. This agenda of 21, it is given to the particular country that according to their state, according to their country, they will make this agenda 21 to save their environment. This is what agenda 21, which was signed by world leader in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, that is UNCED, which took place where I told you, that is at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. What was the main thing? Here this agenda combat the environmental damage, poverty, disease through global cooperation on common interests, mutual needs, and share the responsibility. The major objective of this, that every local government should plan this agenda 21 to save their country and reduce the problem of environment, where they were facing a lot of problem crisis like land degradation. I told you about the environmental pollutions, ozone layer depletion. So every country, every state should have to frame their agenda 21 to protect their country. So this was the thing, an objective discussed in the summit of 1992, which held in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, that is at Brazil. We'll discuss about that when these resources are very important. So what should do? Where we discuss about sustainable development should be there, but very important thing is about the resource planning. So we'll talk about this in the next video, that is resources should have to be planned. Resource planning. Thank you, children.